Today I want to discuss the lack of choice we get out of our politicians in Washington. My big question is, what's the difference between a Republican and a Democrat anymore? I remember just 4 years ago how much the war in Iraq split our nation apart, mostly on political lines. The left accused Bush of fighting an illegal war and killing innocent civilians. In 2008, we finally seemed to have the chance for change in Washington. We assumed there would be an end to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. On the campaign trail in 2008, then-candidate Obama said, "I have put forward a plan that will get our troops out of Iraq by the end of 2009. Of course, we not only still are in Iraq, we have increased the amount of troops on the ground in Afghanistan. But what is more disturbing to me is that we are now involved in a completely different war, and the process of getting us into it is even worse." In 2007, Obama said, "The President does not have power under the Constitution to unilaterally authorize a military attack in a situation that does not involve stopping an actual or imminent threat to the nation." Our Constitution is very clear on the matter of who declares a war. Article 1, Section 8 of our Constitution grants that power to Congress. But there was no vote that took place. Even worse, it seems that we take our cues from an international organization as opposed to our own legislative branch. So much for a free and independent state. It's becoming very difficult to distinguish between the foreign policy of President Bush and that of President Obama. Or more important, it's becoming extremely difficult to understand the difference between a Republican and that of a Democrat. We typically think of Republicans as a party for limited government, but under the watch of the last Republican president, and while he held a majority in Congress, our government grew much larger. The Department of Education doubled in size, and so did our national debt. This all occurred under Bush's tenure. He also created a whole new department in our federal government and expanded the failing Medicare program. I was once so ignorant to believe that the Republican Party stood for the free market system, but that couldn't be further from the truth. It was under Bush that we started the concept of too big to fail, which led to the massive bailouts. More importantly, we allowed the Federal Reserve to continue in existence, even though it is the largest state-sponsored monopoly in our country. Federal law requires businesses to accept dollar bills as legal tender, even though that money continuously gets devalued by monetary policy. But how many supposed free market Republicans ever criticize the Federal Reserve? What does it even mean to be a Republican if you don't believe in limited government and free markets? It seems the only viewpoint that gets any traction out in Washington is that of big government progressives. The motivation of the progressive is to have more power. And that's why I'm not entirely surprised by Obama committing our military might to the situation in Libya. I feel bad for the Democrats that are opposed to war in general, because they aren't getting a fair shake from their president. All of the anti-war Democrat congressmen who were so vocal against military occupation in Iraq have pretty much disappeared from the limelight. I guess these Democrats feel the same way that Republicans feel when Speaker Boehner takes no leadership on defunding Obamacare, or for that matter, on any spending measure. If you like intervening in civil wars in other countries, relying on government to manage your health care, and destroying the purchasing power of the dollar, I guess you are satisfied with the direction of this country. But I think mainstream America deserves something better. We don't need big government in order to prosper. We need to break from our dependence on big government and demand our politicians to follow suit. No one likes ruthless dictators, but what sense does it make to transfer taxpayer dollars to fund an operation that has no impact on U.S. sovereignty? I encourage you to stop viewing politics through the eyes of partisanship and get in touch with what you really believe in. If you love America and you want to live free and pursue what makes you happy, then don't remain silent. Call your representative today. Remember to let your voice be heard and to celebrate your liberties always.